Good evening, everyone. Kalispera. So yes, as you could, since I mentioned good evening in Greek, the following poem is one of several that was was written during the Greece trip that I recently finished up in the last week. And the funny thing about a lot of the poems that I wrote for this trip, all of them seem to come all of them seem to have a more spontaneous feel than when I try to sit down and deliberately try to write something. These poems came when the fa- happened. The muse found me, and this is one of the examples of that. And it goes something like this: spirituality in a very small space, as the moon shines over Heraklion. Each soulful note and meaningful step ringing around the room, without a word being understood. But one doesn't need to know Greek to stir up the emotions of close, as the universal language of music knows no bounds for sweet, sweet sounds and exclamations of unending joy. Every oppa rings out loudly in sheer appreciation under the full moon of the Cretan night. So regarding this poem, the first line, for those who are following along with my trip to Greece, actually came up was actually written for an entirely different place, namely the monasteries at Meteora 2 days earlier. And the fact that a little bit of the credit goes to my friend Wendy for her comment with that first line. She sensed the poem was coming on, and so did I. But in the space, the poem was coming, but I couldn't, I kind of got stuck trying to figure out how to, build the poem around that line. So I kind of chucked the initial idea from the visits to the monasteries of Meteora aside. 2 days later, on the Sunday night, our group of 32 became 36, as a pair of professional dancers and a pair of college students joined our group that night to liven up, to give it a more authentic feel. And once we arrived at the taverna outside of Heraklion, up the stairs, out two outdoor tables. On the horizon, you see the full moon, changing color, mind you, as the night went on, and all the food and drink. And inevitably came the music and the dancing. It felt like a family atmosphere that night. And of course, by the time the night was done, pretty much about a majority of our group was up and dancing, myself included, by the time the night was done. To the point where they broke out the clear flavored liquor, but it wasn't necessary. We were all buzzing from the moment we were in, and buzzing from each other's company. I mean, we went through mainland Greece, we we mainland Greece on the bus together, breakfast together, occasional lunches and dinners together. We even flew from Athens to the islands together. So it just kind of felt like we were so kind of bonded as an extended family by the time we got to this point. And that evening pretty much clinched it. It was a magical Sunday night which began this month. And it's one of those burning memories from this trip that I'll always hold with me forever. As I look back on this trip very fondly, and begin to look ahead to what the next trip is going to be in 2024. But for now, I hope all of you have a wonderful Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And just in light of all the sadness, horror, and tragedy of the last week or so, we're all just a reminder. We're all in this crazy world together. One gigantic extended family. And with that, I say good night, and I'll talk to you guys again next week. Good night, everybody.